Chemical equations can seem complicated and kind of difficult to understand, but today what we're going to do in this video is we're going to break it down piece by piece and hopefully simplify how to balance chemical equations. So we're going to go over what is a chemical equation. We're going to go over what the parts are of a chemical equation. We're also going to go over how to balance chemical equations today. So what exactly is a chemical equation? Well, Webster's dictionary says a symbolic representation of what happens when chemicals come into contact with one another. That's what a chemical equation is. So, in other words, here's a visual of it. When carbon and two oxygen atoms combine, they will yield, or the product they will create, carbon dioxide over here. So, those just happen to be two of the main parts of our chemical equation. That was one of our learning targets as well. We have our products and our reactants. And the third part, every once in a while, you'll see numbers in front of the molecules, like I put in green, and those are called your coefficients, which is the third part to each chemical equation. Here's a couple examples of how to visualize what a chemical equation means. So up here by the star, we have our chemical equation, and actually all three of these other two visual examples are the exact same thing as this chemical equation. So I encourage you to pause the video and explore for a little bit. So now that we know what a chemical equation is, we have a good idea of what it symbolizes through visual representation, and we know all of the parts that go into a chemical equation. Let's go ahead and do an example. Here is your homework worksheet. Let's go ahead and do an example off of it and try to balance a chemical equation. So the whole goal, right here, this arrow, that represents the line in between your products and your reactants. So the goal is to have the same number of each molecule on one side, on both sides. So for example, over here you have two nitrogens, and then over here on the product side you only have one nitrogen, so that would not be balanced. In order for it to be balanced, you would need to have two on both sides. So I'm going to teach you to I'm going to teach you how to balance chemical equations, and try to keep this as simple as possible. Let's not overcomplicate things here. So what I like to do is I like to figure out what I'm working with. How much of each molecule do I have? So right here I have two nitrogens on my reactant side. On my product side I only have one. On my reactant side I have two hydrogens, and then I have three over on my product side. So let's go ahead and try to balance this. Naturally, you'd want to do 1.5 times 2, which would then equal 3, which would balance our equation. But that doesn't work, and the reason that doesn't work is because we can't have half of an atom. We can't split an atom in order to balance an equation. So what we need to do instead, let's go ahead and start with our nitrogens. Let's put that back at 2. Start with our nitrogens. So over on our reactant side we have 2. On our product side we only have 1. So let's multiply this times 2. And that gives us 2 nitrogens. That also changes our hydrogens over on our product side. 2 times 3 equals 6. So now you see that our nitrogens are balanced. We have 2 on either side of the equation, but we're still not balanced when it comes to our hydrogens. So what times 2, right, using this 2, what times 2 equals 6? Equals 6. We need this to equal 6. And that would be a 3, which means that's just a 1. So now our equation is balanced. We have 2 nitrogens on either side, and then we have 6 hydrogens on each side of our equation. So now your job is to go ahead and go through the rest of the worksheet and attempt to solve all these equations. And we'll be going over it in class, but I hope this was helpful. Thank you.